Hello everyone and welcome to Singapore for round 9 of the 2021 Formula 1 season here in the Alternative Apex series. We're nearly there, ladies and gentlemen. We just have 2 more races to go in this outstanding 2021 season. We've seen the championship battle swing from Verstappen to Hamilton, back to Verstappen and then back to Hamilton. And with just 2 races left, will there be any more drama, or are we starting to get a better picture? Who knows, but we're here in Singapore for hopefully it'll be another entertaining Grand Prix. We've had a great string of races now where we've seen some surprises, some shocks, but also some great battles on track, and that's exactly what we want to be seeing. So it is time here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Similar to Italy, we're getting towards the end of the season, we're seeing more and more grid penalties. So once again, when you do see the grid, take it with a pinch of salt, because whilst that is how the drivers start, that is not how their cars necessarily performed in qualifying. So we've got a few mixes there. Let's see if that includes any of the championship contenders. Of course, Verstappen taking a grid penalty last time out in Monza. If you didn't see it, I recommend you go back and watch that race. That hurt Verstappen in that race quite a lot, forcing him way down the order in the end because of the early safety car and pitting under it. But, I mean, will Mercedes be able to avoid grid penalties? Let's find out, shall we? As this is our starting grid for the 2021 Singapore Grand Prix. The answer is yes. They've avoided grid penalties. Lewis Hamilton is on pole alongside Valtteri Bottas, his Mercedes teammate. In third it is Sergio Perez ahead of Fernando Alonso in fourth, ahead of Carlos Sainz, Kimi Raikkonen, Charles Leclerc, then it's Lance Stroll. Then it is Max Verstappen in 9th place with a grid penalty ahead of Nicholas Latifi in 10th. Then it is Pierre Gasly alongside George Russell. Starting to see some of the mixing up here, and then it is Pato O'Ward ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Then it is Antonio Giovinazzi, Sebastian Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Daniel Ricciardo, and then on the final 2 rows of the grid we have Esteban Ocon, Lando Norris, Nikita Mazepin, and in last place Robert Schwartzman. So Mercedes have avoided grid penalties. Red Bull though have not. Verstappen starting 9th again. Let's see what he can do from there. Lights are on, and we are racing in Singapore. Let's see who can get the best start here. Hamilton needs the win for his championship to try and seal it here in Singapore, but that's down the inside. Sending it down the inside is Valtteri Bottas, getting up into the lead, or does he? Is he now forcing his teammate Lewis Hamilton a little bit wide there? Alonso getting up into 3rd position ahead of Sergio Perez, or is he? They're still wheel to wheel there over that final podium position. Can Fernando Alonso fight off the Red Bull here? We've seen Fernando Alonso really taking the fight to the big teams so far this season. But at the moment it is Bottas out in front ahead of Lewis Hamilton, with Fernando Alonso racing Sergio Perez for that 3rd position here. Max Verstappen getting 1 position so far up into 8th. But he's now battling the Ferraris as we now see him up the inside of Charles Leclerc for 7th. These are crucial positions for Max Verstappen. Not only is this a position, of course, in the race and a couple more points, he's currently racing Charles Leclerc, and ahead of him now will be Carlos Sainz. Whilst you may think Ferrari's 6th and 8th, that's probably been helped by penalties. Both Ferraris legitimately out-qualified Max Verstappen. So those places are really important for him to get now, so that he doesn't end up stuck behind them. Curiously, Lewis Hamilton at the moment not showing much pace on this opening lap. Currently is suffering. And he's in the pits. He is in the pits. Lewis Hamilton is into the pits at the end of lap 1 here. Is it more wing issues for Mercedes? Valtteri Bottas had to pit last time out after lap 1. Some minor contact then with I think it was Hamilton then. This time Hamilton looks like he's come off worse, and he's into the pit lane for a nose change. At this crucial point in the season, Lewis Hamilton at the end of lap 1 is in 22nd position and is way off the back of the pack here. Lewis Hamilton no man's land now, whilst Valtteri Bottas is cruising out front ahead of Fernando Alonso, who is now into 2nd place. However, the one good thing that Hamilton can take away from this is that Verstappen's only 6th. It's not a huge point swing, and with Bottas 6 seconds in the lead at the moment, it's looking good so far for Mercedes to still take home a win. Up at the in the back of the field, we've got Nikita Mazepin and Esteban Ocon. Ocon starting on the medium compound tyres. I believe he's one of 2 cars to do so, the other one being Pato O'Ward. Those 2 starting to make their way up the order as the soft tyres, they do degrade very quickly here in Singapore. As you can see now, Pato O'Ward making the move on Pierre Gasly. Not a place that you usually see overtaking. They go all the way around the outside. Lovely move there by Pato O'Ward. The medium tyres really look like the best tyre at the moment, as we see Ocon down the order making another position on the timing tower. Into the pits now, it is Fernando Alonso at the end of lap 6. Great defensive drive so far, but he's going to come into an early pit stop here. Perhaps trying to cover off the undercut, but who knows. Max Verstappen that is following him. Curiously, Red Bull this time putting Verstappen in first rather than Perez. That might hurt them in the long term of this race, leaving Perez vulnerable to an undercut. However, I think it's the right call from Red Bull to prioritise their championship contender. Of course, that being Max Verstappen, as Lewis Hamilton now gets a few positions as cars in the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton went to mediums in that stop, so it means he might still be able to do it on one more stop, the same as everyone else from this point on. So maybe Hamilton could still find himself a little bit further up the order, but he won't have tyres that will enjoy it very much. But Fernando Alonso in the 18th position ahead of Max Verstappen, who has gained a little bit in that pit stop, but now Verstappen needs to take advantage of this fresh rubber and put in the lap times. As race leader into the pits, Valtteri Bottas. He's yet to win in the 2021 season, as he makes it into the pit entry. Nicely done there by the Finn. Coming to the pits, what tyres he'll go onto the mediums. Another driver, I think most of the field is going to be doing a 2-stop today. It's just the quick strategy. Traffic could be an issue, but I don't think it'll be too big of a worry for these guys, especially people like Bottas who have found themselves in a nice piece of track. But where will Bottas come out? Where will he come out in some traffic? Now this could really impede his race if he does end up in traffic here. Exits the pit lane. It looks pretty clean. No drivers look to be around him. Oh, I say that. Into the picture comes Antonio Giovinazzi. And that's Sebastian Vettel just behind him as well there. But Bottas in 4th place, just one car to clear here. And it looks like he may well do it quite quickly. He's already pressuring Giovinazzi and he will get DRS here. So you see Latifi currently running in the 2nd position. Good drive by the Williams driver so far. Of course, yet to pit. Bottas up into the 3rd position now. Both cars ahead of him still need to pit. So Bottas finds himself pretty comfortable here. Not much traffic to worry about. As now Latifi is into the pits. Briefly up in the 2nd position now. But these are the final few drivers that need to pit now. Pato O'Ward is out on the medium tyre still. Him and Ocon both started on the medium compound tyre. Which leads me to think they're probably going to do a 1-stop mediums too hard. So this is a legitimate 8-second lead that O'Ward has, but if you see now, it's not lasted very long, as it's already down to 3.3 seconds. Hamilton already recovered up into 4th. Mercedes have nailed the recovery strategy here. They put him on a set of mediums. I assume they're going to go medium to the end here, and it's actually almost benefited him. I'm not suggesting it would have been better if he didn't get the wing damage, but as we see him out making a move up past Esteban Ocon, he's looking good at the moment, and currently still ahead of Max Verstappen, and both with one more pit stop in this race, and both of those drivers pitting to another set of mediums. It's a legitimate current, I believe, net P2 for Lewis Hamilton. So it's a good recovery so far by the British driver. Currently went into this race with a 6-point championship lead. So if he can beat Verstappen here today, then it'll be a bit of a bigger margin going into the finale in Mexico. Got wheel to wheel for the lead though. Bottas has caught and passed Pato O'Ward here. Unusual part of the track to do it, but he's got himself up the order and back into the actual lead of the race. Pato O'Ward on those mediums, still looking to do the 1-stop. I believe Ocon may well be joining him on that, but I'm not 100% certain. Into the pits though comes Pato O'Ward. He'll drop down the order now and switch on to a set of hard compound tyres. The Chevrolet driver has put in some great drives this season. Actually, he's got a couple of standout results, but I think over the course of the season, I think Robert Schwartzman has shown the more correct pace. He's changing his wing actually, so that might explain why O'Ward was caught so quickly by Bottas. But I think Schwartzman has given a more accurate representation of the car's pace. I think O'Ward's found himself, and I don't like to say it, but 9 times out of 10 he's been quite lucky this season. The switch to Inters in Austria, avoiding the damaged Ferrari in Bahrain, and yeah, he's had some great drives, but a lot of them have come on strategy and luck rather than raw pace from him or the car. But he finds himself down in 14th place now. Lewis Hamilton still ahead of Max Verstappen here, but he is under pressure from the Red Bull driver, his championship rival. Verstappen will be looking to try and make that pass here, but it's not an easy track to overtake on here in Singapore. And into the pits, end of lap 16, Lewis Hamilton will enter the pit lane here, and he pitted on the end of lap 1, so he's taking those tyres 15 laps, and there's 15 laps left in the race, so that surely locks him into the mediums, and yes it does. He's going on to another set of mediums until the end of the race now for Lewis Hamilton. And whilst having to pit slightly earlier, you'd think is perhaps a disadvantage having to go longer on those tyres, it's going to give him a little bit of an undercut on Max Verstappen here, despite being ahead already. It'll cover off from Verstappen trying anything, and also probably build up that gap a little bit, which may prove crucial later in the Grand Prix if you can just maintain a gap to Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton, where's he going to come out? Looks like it's fairly traffic free, and yeah, indeed it is. Into the pits now for his final pit stop of the day is the other Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas from the lead of the Grand Prix. Bottas again also going to the medium tyres. You can see there the difference in Hamilton's strategy though. He's had to pit about 3 laps earlier than his teammate, which incident will now mean that he's got 3 lap older tyres at the end of this race. And at Singapore, the tyres they wear quickly. They're not built well in terms of long lasting, and they can last a while. They just don't have the performance come the end of the race. So keep an eye out for that later on in this Grand Prix. But at the moment, Bottas back out and lead this race, and comfortably so. As more cars pitting in the background, that's Carlos Sainz coming into the pits. Sergio Perez also into the pits now. Perez looking to try and take home a P2 finish by the looks of things. Gonna have to race. Oh, there's a battle further in the back there. That is between Verstappen, Leclerc, and Pato O'Ward. O'Ward, of course, doing that one-stop strategy, now finds himself racing the Red Bull and Ferrari. That didn't last long, though, as the Red Bull and Ferrari have both cleared in, and Leclerc and Verstappen getting up into 3rd and 4th place now. We said that Ferrari was a quick car around here, and it looking like it could well be, as he might have a run at Verstappen here. Maybe a little bit too far back on this occasion, or maybe not. Let's have wait and see here. Will he go to the inside? It would have been a send to go from it there, and Leclerc perhaps smartly keeps out of the way. Verstappen went in the championship, don't really want to crash into him, of all people. But Leclerc still having a great drive, up in 4th at the moment, but we'll wait and see where he ends up. As now we've got a battle between Carlos Sainz and Pato O'Ward. Pato O'Ward is getting overtaken left, right and centre at the moment, as that one-stop strategy, whilst it may work in theory, getting the track position, it only works if you can hold on to the track position, which so far has not gone so well for Pato O'Ward. But I mean, I think he would have. I don't think he would have expected to be beating the Ferraris, Red Bulls and Mercedes, so I don't think he's that disappointed. This one he might be a little bit more disappointed with, as he gets passed by Kimi Räikkönen. The Alfa Romeo, it's no Ferrari, Red Bull or Mercedes, but don't get me wrong, it's still very much a midfield car, and it is arguably quicker than the Chevrolet, so it's doing a good job there in the hands of Kimi Räikkönen to get it up into the 7th position. It's a great drive by Räikkönen today. We've got a battle here between Lance Stroll and Daniel Ricciardo over 9th place. Ricciardo looks as though he's got that move done. The McLaren, after a good few races today, both cars currently 9th and 12th. That's not the 2nd and 3rds that they've had last few races out, so they'll be a little bit disappointed with that one. Ferrari looking like the 3rd best team today, and I'd say that's at worst. They may even be the 2nd best car, I'd argue. But at the moment, the McLaren's having a bad day down the order. Meanwhile, up at the front, Lewis Hamilton still holding on to that 2nd place out of Max Verstappen here. And looks like that might continue, as it is now the final lap of the race, and through the final couple of corners, Valtteri Bottas, for the first time in 2021, wins the Grand Prix. And in 2nd place, I mean, they're 27 seconds behind in 2nd place. Lewis Hamilton, his teammate. Hamilton did have some dramas, but look at, he's barely into the final sector yet. This is an outstanding drive from Bottas, you have to admit. And Lewis Hamilton, outstanding drive from both Mercedes drivers. Lewis Hamilton gets an outstanding recovery drive up into 2nd position, and will extend his championship lead up to 9 points going into Mexico ahead of Max Verstappen, who gets on the podium. Charles Leclerc brings home 4th for Ferrari, and 5th went to Sergio Perez. But your race winner, Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes, brilliant, just brilliant drive for Bottas. He needed that drive, to be honest. He's had a pretty bad season. He needed just to get that good result, just to have a nice, clean, clear race, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with that result there, finally showing what he can do in that Mercedes. Had a few issues this season, of course. He had the spin in Spa, the wing damage in Monza. It's not all been plain sailing, but Bottas looks like he might have found some form here, and he'll be looking to carry that over into next season. But I think the focus for all of us watching now, it is not about next season at the moment. It is very much about this season. So there is your podium, but the championship lead now 9 points. Here is your final result. It is Valtteri Bottas ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Then it is Max Verstappen in 3rd, losing out 3 points to his championship rival. Then there's Leclerc in 4th, Perez in 5th. It's a bit of a strange race from Perez. Sort of went quite under the radar, and sort of it's almost a bad race that went under the radar there. Sort of running in a decent position early on, so just got stuck in that midfield group. Got stuck behind Alonso, I think, actually, and that's where his race ended. Then it was Carlos Sainz, 2nd Ferrari. Finally, Sainz getting some luck, finally scoring some more points, and doubles his points tally of the season so far. Then it is Kimi Raikkonen, an outstanding racer, in 7th position, getting 6 more points for Alfa Romeo. Then it is Daniel Ricciardo in 8th, ahead of Pato O'Ward, who does just about hold on to a couple points there in this race. And it's Lance Stroll in the 10th position for Aston Martin. That sort of midfield scrap there with Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri and all those guys, that could get quite spicy going to the finale. Here are your driver standings though, and as I said, gap at the top now 9 points going to Mexico, which means Verstappen is going to need to win and Hamilton to finish 3rd or lower for the championship there. So all Hamilton needs to do, if Hamilton gets 2nd place, he is champion in Mexico. We'll go more into the exacts of how everything will happen in Mexico when we get to that race tomorrow. 3rd place is Bottas now, jumps up a couple of positions. Outside of the championship fight, that I think was to be expected. He needed DNFs from Verstappen and Hamilton to still be in the title fight. If it was even mathematically possible going in, that is. But Bottas 3rd in the championship, 38 points off the lead. Not dreadful at all. Sergio Perez in 4th. Lando Norris, after a poor race there, goes from being that sort of outsider to in that top 4 to, I think, settling back into where he belongs in that 5th position. But still an outstanding season from the McLaren driver. Meanwhile, in the Constructors, Mercedes take the lead in the Constructors' Championship ahead of Red Bull by 12 points. So, getting swinging from what has looked like a Red Bull-dominated season. So far this season, Red Bull have got double Mercedes race wins, and Verstappen has double Hamilton's race wins. It is quite crazy to think that Hamilton and Mercedes are leading both championships, but that's how it is. Consistency is key here. And Red Bull 12 points behind. They're going to need a strong result from both drivers to try and take that Constructors' Championship. McLaren comfortably in 3rd. Ferrari in 4th, going decently, pretty much on their own there. AlphaTauri in 5th. This is the pack from Chevrolet in 9th all the way up to AlphaTauri in 5th. That's the pack that we could see some drama in. But there's so many teams in that fight, it's almost impossible to say who's going to come out on top and exactly what they would need to do so. I think Chevrolet, Alfa Romeo are unlikely to take those positions away from AlphaTauri, but you never know what might happen in Mexico. But there it is, round 9 of the season is complete, and it was an exciting one. But all eyes now look to tomorrow, the finale in Mexico. Your guess is as good as mine as to how that one's going to play out. It's a circuit that has plenty of opportunity to overtake and plenty of opportunities to battle. The DRS, the S section, the chicanes. We could see some drama in the Mexico City circuit. So, whatever you do, do not miss that race. I honestly, I cannot wait for it. And I hope you guys are just as excited for it. But that is it for round 9 of the 2021 Formula 1 season here in Singapore. And until next time, goodbye.